Welcome back to the Gotdam Podcast. At this time, with us all the way from Denver, Colorado, BJJ brown belt, amateur MMA fighter. She has her own OnlyFans. Soon she'll be having her own podcast, which we're excited to see. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie Rampage Cline is in the goddamn room.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing all right. Weather's not too bad up here in the Northeast, so it ain't too bad.
Yeah, it's really nice here too. Fall's great in Denver.
Yeah, Denver seems really nice, and you have the the best cold plunge in the world apparently over there. I saw
We
you did a
do.
video on Mondays, which is sick. But let's get into your amazing career, because I think that the way that you've spanned and tell your story is awesome. But we definitely want to hear it from your words first. Can you tell us, what were you like as a child, and were you always into sports at that time, as a child?
Yeah, I mean, I was always competitive as a child, and I played sports throughout high school. You know, I played volleyball and basketball. I was always on a competitive team, but I never did martial arts until I was a lot older. But I was definitely a lot of energy, a lot of competitive nature as far as competing in regular sports as a child. But
Yeah, that's typically with martial artists. I've found that it's either one of the two extremes. They're either very energetic and like bouncing off the walls as a kid, or the complete opposite. They're so calm and so quiet. They don't make much noise, and their parents are always like, this kid's very calm. So it's always either one or the other. So it's cool to hear when people are like, nah, I was bouncing off the walls. They couldn't stop me. They were trying, but good luck. So how did you end up in the martial arts, or what initially sparked your interest into beginning to train?
Yeah, I mean, I was 29 actually, so I started training pretty late. I mean, not late. I feel like it was the right time. But I was like out of shape and I had a son, and I was just like kind of in a place where like I wanted to get back to myself. And my brother-in-law is a black belt under Zingano, so he was always like encouraging me to train. And so I just, decided one day, I'm like, fine, I'll try it. I was so like, he always used to ask me, actually, he's been my brother-in-law for a long time, since I was like 16, and he would be like, just train. And I, blew it off because I was like, that's for dudes. No, so, but then I went to one class actually I enrolled my son in jiu-jitsu first. And then I was just watching his class. Sorry. So my brother-in-law was like, stay for the adult class. And so I tried one class, and then I just like loved it. I rolled like the first day, and I was like already like picked it up pretty fast and just decided to go for it.
That's so sick. So shout out to your brother-in-law for getting you into the sport. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's always good when family kind of, gives you those first steps. But then in January of 2021, you decided to make the move into MMA. So what made you want to compete in mixed martial arts?
Yeah, I mean, I started jiu-jitsu, but I also started Muay Thai. So my gym offered Muay Thai as well. And I just like had a like natural like ability to like pick up martial arts pretty quick. So like I competed in jiu-jitsu right away. And then 6 months into competing into training Muay Thai, or a year into training Muay Thai, I also did a smoker. And so like I just found like that I picked up on it right away, and I was just like, I wanted to apply it. And that's what I loved so much about competition, is like you apply it in a real life, as close to a real life scenario as you're going to get. So you're like, wow, this works. So I was like, I'll jump in a cage. And then my first couple fights just like went so fast. Like it was just like, I finished both of them in the first round by submission. And I just was like, I don't even know if I like it or not, because it was just so fast. So I just continued fighting, and I just was like transitioned to MMA, and then now I'm kind of back transitioned to jiu-jitsu, and I'm just kind of like doing what I love, and whatever opportunities come my way, really.
Yeah, that's sick. I think that's awesome. That's a really good way to get into the sport, because it's either someone who started watching the sport and then fell in love with it, or it's the opposite. They're like, oh, I just kind of did it to see what it would be like, and that typically ends up with like a really good result ultimately. So I think that's pretty awesome that you went that route. Not a lot of people will get into a cage. Everyone that starts is like terrified of getting in the cage. I know a lot of training partners of mine that have been training 3 years. They're like, I don't know if I can do it. Like, you can. It's not that bad, I promise you. The worst thing is just doing it the first time. After that, it kind of becomes like a second home at some point. Your brain is like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I did notice towards the end of 2023, you did have a schedule bout that got canceled, sadly. Do you have any plans or interest in returning to MMA at some point?
I mean, I've been thinking about it. So my canceled bout was because I tore my MCL. So I tore my knee like 2 weeks before my fight. And I was like, should I fight? Should I not fight? I'm like, no, just don't do it. It's your pro debut. Don't fucking fight on a, or can I say that word? Don't fight on the, on like your pro debut on a torn MCL. Just don't do it. Yeah.
No.
And so I pulled out of the fight, like rightfully so. And like I just started training, like getting back and training. And it took me about 6 months to recover from that. So then it just like put me behind. And I was training MMA and I just like the older I get, I'm just kind of like, okay, where's my longevity in the sport? And honestly, my longevity is in jiu-jitsu. And that's anyone's longevity really, is like MMA is, unless you're like already up in like that top level, you know, like you have a lot of work to do to get there. And I'm just like thinking about my age. And, you know, the UFC just said, I think that they're not even signing women past like 30, I think, to like the Ultimate Fighter, stuff like that. So it's like age is a factor. And so I was just like, if I invested all my time and energy that I train MMA into jiu-jitsu, like how far would I be? I mean, I'm pretty, like jiu-jitsu is my specialty, pretty like advanced in jiu-jitsu, and like I think I could probably go a lot further as far as pro level in jiu-jitsu than I could in MMA. So I decided to take a step back. It's not necessarily that I won't ever fight again. I don't know. I might still go pro. Who knows? I just, you know, want to make sure I'm setting myself up for success, you know? It's just like, it's an interesting sport. So you got to go where you're like, path takes you, you know, where you're going to benefit the most as a professional athlete.
Yeah, I agree with that. And by the way, you can curse. This is a pod. We don't have that sanctioning on us.
Okay.
So you can say whatever you need to say.
Okay.
You know, I was told one time that people who are typically more intelligent do curse more often. So I was like, yeah, because they're explaining something with a little more passion. That's cool.
Fair.
But I respect you because, you know, like it is what you said previously. Dana did say that he wasn't interested in anyone in their 30s, male or female. He said, I don't know, 30-year-old prospect who becomes a challenger, it's really unlikely. So he did say that recently. But I mean, some of the best fighters in the world started their career at 29, 30 years old.
I know. And like, honestly, I felt like I'm in my peak as far as like, you know, athleticism and like my skill level and just like thought process around fighting, my fight IQ, all that stuff. So I still compete jiu-jitsu at adult and for the most part, like I'm not in master, like I like challenge myself by competing against younger kids or like younger girls, you know, so, and I do well. So I'm like, I know I can do it. It's just, you know, I just want to make sure that I'm like putting my energy in the right spots.
Yeah, and I respect what you said about longevity as well. That's something that not a lot of people think about, and especially when you're younger. Like at 19, I was like, I'm gonna fight until I'm 45, and then as soon as I turned 26, I was like, no, the hell I'm not. I'm not competing until I'm 45. I'll probably be like destroyed by then. Probably can't even move my knees right.
Yeah.
That's probably
you take a lot of damage in MMA, you know, and not even just in the cage. That's probably where the least of my damage has come from. But you take a lot of damage in the weight cuts and the like camps and just like the hard sparring and all that stuff. And it's just like, it's a wear and tear on your body, you know? And so like jiu-jitsu, I don't have to cut weight. I don't have to like, I can be my strongest and like go in, step on the mat and like compete at a high level without compromising my health and my body.
I feel you. And I think that's an intelligent way to look at things, not like trying to kill your body off and do too much of that. And you are right. The wear and tear, I've seen it before. I've got, you know, training. I've been in the training rooms with guys that are in their late 20s that started competing at 18, and I see the damage already, and I'm like, wow, that's surprising. He's so good. But then during training camp, usually they get like 2 injuries while that training camp is happening, plus the weight cut, and by the time they get to the fight, everybody's like, oh, you know, he looks so much better in the training room. And I'm like, yeah, but because after the weight cut, you're completely, all your fluids are gone. Your brain has the least amount of fluids. And then all the training that he did, 8 weeks in training camp, getting destroyed. It's a lot. And I think that's the best move that you could make possibly. But
women, we have it even like a little bit, like I feel like we have it a little bit tougher too, because we're hard sparring with guys. And, you know, like there's not a lot of women training partners, you know, we're hard sparring. We're getting like, you know, fucked up in there sometimes. And like, it makes you tough. But I will say my first gym was like old school, you know, and all my training and sparring partners were dudes, and, you know, they did not go light. And so it's like, you know, you don't get breaks, you don't get light sparring. And like, it's good. It made me tough. And like, I will step in the cage with anybody. I'm not afraid of anybody, but it is a lot of wear and tear. And most of my injuries have come from just cutting, like being in camp while cutting weight and just like training so hard, depleted on calories, depleted on like energy.
That makes sense, and I feel you. I respect you for doing it though. There's not a lot of female fighters that can pull that off. A lot of camps have like so many dudes, and then there's like 2 girls on the mats, and they all go against the guys. And I've seen it in our gym too. We have a few girls on our team that I'm like, I'm pretty sure that chick can kick your ass. I have friends outside like that little girl fights in your gym. Yeah, but she'll kick your ass. You don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, chicks are tough, man. I spar with them. I don't hit them hard because that's not. I don't like hard sparring outside of camp. In camp, yes,
Yeah.
I will hard
Yeah.
spar with them. But outside of camp, I've told everyone like you're gonna deplete yourself really quickly if you do that. You got to be smart. You got to kind of take the long
Yeah.
road and be technical, because there's times where even the coaches will do things like they'll extend the rounds to 8 minutes instead of 5. And the younger guys, I've seen it, they haven't quite like it hasn't hit them yet. Like they go all out for 8 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, the next round you're gonna be gone, and then the third round you're gonna be destroyed. By the 5th round, you won't be able to keep up. You have to take it slow and time yourself and be very educated in your movement. And we don't see a lot of that with the younger guys. Usually the older individuals that have been in the room longer, they're like, no, we know better now. By the way, happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
You went your birthday weekend. You went to 168, witness Mighty Mouse retire.
Yeah,
which
that
is
was cool.
emotional. That's emotional though. As a fan for me, I was in tears in my house, and his voice kept cracking. He was trying to laugh at himself, but
good. It was actually like like a good joy though, I wasn't like sad. I was just like, I'm happy for him. He had a really long, great, amazing career. He's stepping into the jiu-jitsu world too. That's cool. And so we'll still see him competing, but like, like he's just like the epitome of like a great martial artist. So it was really cool to see.
Yeah, that was sick. And when you were there at the One Championship event in Denver, did you ever think of like competing in one? Is it something that you would like to do in BJJ specifically? Because they have so many.
I would love
jiu-jitsu
that.
players.
That's definitely a goal of mine for sure. Just to make it to a bigger promotion, I would have loved to fight for one. I would have loved to, jiu-jitsu for one, whatever it is. But, that was kind of on the goal, like trajectory. Okay, I just want to go do well at Pans and do well at Worlds and like get my jiu-jitsu back going and hopefully one day get my black belt, like all that stuff. So
yeah, no, the black belt is definitely coming because I've seen you put in the work and it's relentless. I saw in one of your posts you did 6 a.m. training. Did you train at 6 in the morning?
Yeah, I actually love to train at 6 in the morning. I wish it was like every day, but 6 a.m. is like my favorite time of day to train. I definitely feel like at first it sucks, but when your body gets used to it, you realize like I think my metabolism's better throughout the day. Like I usually don't struggle with weight when I'm training at 6 a.m. I have energy throughout the day. Like I got it out of the way. No matter what, like jiu-jitsu is always a good time. So you start your day off with something fun and exciting, so you're like, whatever happens for the rest of the day, at least I have that. Like I had something positive already happen, so I actually love training early. It's my favorite.
I respect you for that because I don't have it in me to do it. I do it on Fridays because the head jiu-jitsu coach at our gym, he comes in on Friday mornings. He teaches a 6 a.m. class, so usually they're like 5:59, and he's already in there warming up. I think it's tough. I don't know how y'all do it. God bless y'all, because I don't have the brain power, the wherewithal. Like it is, like you said, I do spend the rest of the day like in like a weird flow state. I feel like the rest of the day kind of goes by, and I'm not as exhausted as I normally am. So I see what you're saying. And I get it, the metabolism, because you're fasted probably and you're in a fasted state, and then you do that type of training where you're sweating gallons of sweat. I think that's pretty dope, and I respect that you could do it, but I'm gonna be real, I ain't doing it.
A lot of people like it, but we started a competition class at 6 a.m. on Wednesdays, and it's busy, it's big. So
yeah, I saw a lot of people on the mats in the pictures you took, and I was like, wow, they're dope out there, man. They're living it. They're living the dream. Because that is the dream for all of the guys to train, or all the individuals who train jiu-jitsu. We all want to be able to just train 6 a.m., 12, another 3, 4. Like, it would be perfect that way. Speaking of your jiu-jitsu journey, 2022, you won IBJJF Nogi World, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And you're a purple belt, you win, and then you got your brown belt right on the podium. Can you describe what that moment was like for you?
yeah, it was pretty exciting. I definitely wasn't expecting it. I honestly don't even know if I was expecting to win Worlds that year. I just kind of was like, I don't know. I was just in the zone. I think I subbed everybody in my bracket. And then, like, in the absolute, too, I subbed everybody. And then in the finals, I lost in the finals in the absolute to those super heavy and literally by an advantage. It was such a scrap, like, scramble. Like, I ended up, like, getting swept over like in the last 8 seconds. If I just like held her down, I would have like won the match or whatever. But it was just like really fun. So I got silver in the absolute and gold in the bracket, but it was really like surreal. Like I didn't think I would ever get it like on the podium of worlds, you know, like that was really cool. So I think it's just a goal of probably a lot of athletes to like be recognized for their hard work in a situation like that. So, but just grateful.
That's sick because I know a lot of people who will be in that particular moment, and it has to feel like a dream for them. Which I think is awesome that you've done it, and at that you've been on pretty big stages. You did a fight to win IBJJ Worlds. You've even been on Flow Grappling. I've seen a few of your matches now on Flow. I was like, wow, this is pretty sick. It's not an easy thing to get on there now. So to get there is great. But is there a particular rule set or a style of competition you'd like to try down the line? I know you said that you'd like to compete at one, but it's something like a combat jiu-jitsu or if they decide
Yeah,
to
I think
right.
combat jiu-jitsu would be fun, and then I think a cage match. I would love a cage match just because of my experience in MMA. You know, a cage jiu-jitsu match would be fun. But I was going to do actually the Eddie Bravo EBI like combat jiu-jitsu in December, but I had some things come up, so I can't go now. So I'm going to go to Worlds and hopefully do well at Worlds. But other than that, I would like a like combat jiu-jitsu match. Although it's hard because I fought MMA at 125. So now that I'm competing jiu-jitsu at 145, like my walking weight, I don't know if I want to do slappies at 145. I still want to be like 125 for slapsies. So.
So if we see a Medusa, it had to be at 125. You wouldn't be doing it at your current weight.
Yeah, I probably want to cut for that.
I don't blame you. I know how typically a lot of people are huge in jiu-jitsu. I've seen a lot of the female athletes. They walk in at 135, they weigh in, and then they go to compete, and they look bigger. I'm like, that's not 135. There's no way in hell that girl's 135 pounds today. She's like yoked up. I don't know how they do it, but it's pretty sick to watch the competition. But I'm happy that you're at least like think about those type of things. But who do you model your jiu-jitsu game after? Because your game seems really sick, and your pressure passing is actually pretty nasty. I love it. I love that type of style. But are there any specific influences or inspirations for you in terms of how you play jiu-jitsu?
Honestly, I'm not like, I don't think I have like a specific style. I guess I'm like I'm a submission grappler. So a lot of times I'm just hunting subs, and I have a pretty creative game. So I just like find myself like in a lot of scrambles, stuff like that. And I do like the pressure game. My guard is actually I never really get a chance to play it that much, but it's funny because my guard, I actually pulled guard at ADCC trials, and I like did really well. So I'm like, maybe I should just start pulling guard instead of wasting all my energy on wrestling. But I like to wrestle too. So honestly, I'm really good at like just picking parts of people's games and applying it and kind of creating my own cohesive game. Like I don't really like model my jiu-jitsu after a specific person. I play a lot of leg locks, so I guess I'm not that old school. I don't know.
No, but you do really well because when I watch your matches, a lot of pressure passing, a lot of sequences to get to a position where you can pass. And I've noticed that I haven't seen you play much guard in any of your matches, at least the ones that I'm able to find on Flow or YouTube. And I was just shocked. I was like, man, she's beating the shit out of her opponent. She's always on top. She's always throwing somebody into a bad position, into a worse position. So I do love that. And then, yeah, leg locking, I guess it's considered new school a little bit. But then there's like guys like Dean Lister who've been doing it all his career. So, I mean, you can say it's a little old school, a little more catch wrestling than jiu-jitsu at that point. More catch guys do that. But I think it's sick.
I'm definitely not like a bolo girl or like like stuff like that. Although I'm changing that. My new professor, Liera Jr., Michael Liera Jr., his bolo game is pretty incredible. His guard game's incredible. So I'm excited to kind of expand my jiu-jitsu in that area.
So you're adding new tools to the game
New
already and
tools.
trying to see what you can play with. All right, I respect that. You're pulling out the ODB, mother of my own style type of thing. You know, that's dope. I fucks with that. But so far, from what you remember, who was your toughest opponent so far, and what made that match particularly challenging?
Dang, I've competed against a couple of really tough girls. I mean, I've competed against a lot of tough girls, but I'll say like the top two is probably Mo Black. She's from Colorado Springs. I had her second day of trials. Her pressure game, talk about pressure game, it's incredible the way she uses her head, and just she ended up beating me by a pass in the last like 10 seconds of the match, but she's just so tough. And I get to train with her frequently in Colorado Springs. So I love training with her, but she is tough. Like, so I would say like she was probably one of my toughest opponents. And then who else? I competed against Tammy Musumeci at ADCC and in the one before the last one. And I had a really great match against her. I just kind of threw the sink at her, but she ultimately just had a really good bolo game as well. So she was like, it was a good scramble, but that was fun to compete against her. But honestly, like those two are like ones that come to my mind, like top toughest girls that I've competed against.
That's sick. And yeah, the Musumechis are like, I don't know how they bold themselves so well, because I've seen Mikey sit down with his feet touching the ground, his knees touching, and then he's able to sit on the ground. And I've just stared at him like, man, that's got to be some generic dexterity or something to that effect, because that seems intense. Like, how the hell do you even plan for how they get underneath you, or how they might roll over, and then you're in a bad spot with them. They seem like they're pretty tough at all. And then you said Mo Black, as you stated, was really tough because she had great pressure passing. Now that you do train with her, is there anything that you guys ever like have a moment where you're like, oh, remember when we had our match and you did this to me? Oh yeah. And you ever do that with each other?
We actually find ourselves in the same, like, I find myself, and I try to get more creative with her because I still find myself in the same freaking position with her, just getting pressure passed from a knee. Like, I can get a knee shield on her. Her wrestling's pretty good. If I can get underneath to her legs, like, I feel a little bit better. But yeah, we just find ourselves in stalemate a lot of the times. And like, I've been able to like escape a lot of, she's really good at arm bars, and I've been able to escape some of her arm bars lately. And she's just like, God, I got to tighten up my arm bar game. And so we just like, play around with a lot of stuff, but she's amazing. She's such a good person, and she's an amazing athlete, and she still catches me every roll. But like, I just, I love it because it just like challenges me. That's who I want to beat me in the training room.
That's awesome, because that means that you have consistently something to work towards. And I think that's fucking awesome too, especially if you can get that in the training room. But now that you're looking at it from a perspective of like, wow, this is the toughest match I've had, who do you think at the top of the division right now, 145 and BJJ, would be a great match for you? Like, who do you think you would match up well with that?
I don't know. Honestly, I would take any match, really. I would like a match with Helena. That'd be fun.
Wow.
But she's, I've had her in my bracket before, but we've never met. Yeah, so it's cool. I get to see a lot of the top girls at ADCC usually, so that's always exciting.
That's sick. Yeah, Helena is that young lady is very interesting. Her game is very like, I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like no matter what you do, you're going into a fly trap. It just doesn't feel like anyone feels confident. Even some of the best players I've seen her go up against, they get to dominant positions, and then somehow she just works her way into a sub, and I'm like, how in the hell is that possible at that age?
She's super long and technical and strong, and long limbs are hard to deal with, so she's just long and strong and technical, and she's a little animal. So
yeah, I've noticed she ends up in a bad position with that, and she'll do something amazing, and we're just stuck like, how the hell did this kid come up with the idea?
Yeah, she's good.
Well, I mean, she is training a new wave. We have to give Danaher, his flowers. The guy is a phenomenal coach. But everyone has a great matchup and styles to make fights. So I'm sure in jiu-jitsu there's gonna be someone stylistically that matches up. I'm hoping you match up with her. We'd love to see that. I'm definitely gonna be watching as a dream match at one point. But ultimately, what's your ultimate goal with martial arts at this time? Like, what are you aiming for overall with your career? Because I know we talked about competing at one at some point, but is there something that you've looked at and gone like, this is what I really want to be remembered for in the sport?
Yeah, I just want to be, exciting fighter, exciting competitor, contribute where I can in the jiu-jitsu world, whether that's helping like up and coming fighters with camps, stuff like that, training. Obviously, I see myself like continuously training forever until I'm old and gross and can't. And then also like I just have a lot of like jiu-jitsu and fighting and all that stuff has opened up a lot of opportunities for me. And that's like this new podcast thing. And, I've done some commentating. I'd love to like get into that world, obviously just like continuously be an advocate for the sport and just continue to try to grow it and make it mainstream. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I had my coach on, Adam Colorado, and he said that this is the golden age of jiu-jitsu, and he's like, it's only going to get better as we progress through the years, and I have to agree with him. When we had him on the pod, he said it. He's like, jiu-jitsu has never been the way it is right now. Like, it's never had more opportunity to grow where it rightfully should be. It should have absolutely been here years ago, but he's like, I'm just happy it's here at some point. But I think the same thing. In regards to your BJJ career, are there any upcoming competitions or new challenges on the horizon that you have coming?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be doing Nogi Pans and Nogi Worlds. That's kind of the focus right now. And then if I have any like super fight opportunities, I'll go that way. Just kind of just going with the flow.
That's awesome. And yeah, Pans is, for those of you who are new to jiu-jitsu, Pans is a huge competition. Usually whoever wins Pans tends to go to Worlds, and then they end up taking over the entire fucking world. Every jiu-jitsu player in the world is watching you after Pans because they're like, oh shit, they got a problem. So, we're rooting for you on this event. Hopefully, Pans goes well for you and Worlds goes even better. And, can get some double golds coming back home with them. And yeah, like you said, those super fights would be sick super fights. And there's so much jiu-jitsu now. Would you ever do like a pit submission? Karate Combat has a little pit that everybody's in.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's a sick thing. I like it because there's no out of bounds, and that's something that I think we saw with CJI was like,
yeah, that was
phenomenal. Cool. It didn't allow anybody to escape any positions. It's actually pretty tough. It made it really awesome to watch. But where can the fans follow your journey and stay updated on your future competitions, future projects, anything regarding you and your brand?
Yeah. Rampage_BJJ is my Instagram. You guys can follow me on TikTok, Rampage BJJ, Facebook, Stephanie Cline. And then obviously a more personal side to me, OnlyFans, and my link is in my bio. So yeah. And then soon I'll be launching my podcast, and hopefully that will also be on OFTV as well. So
that's actually perfect. That was the question I had last for you. Like, where can we expect to watch your podcast? Which platforms and do you have an idea for like a launch date, at least at the current time?
Yeah, I'm just waiting on some sponsorship stuff that's like in the works right now. But it looks like, but they will be streamed hopefully on YouTube, and then Spotify, and then also on OFTV.
That's fucking sick. So we're going to put all the links for how people can reach you in the description of the video. Anybody who's watching, you go ahead down there. We'll also have the OnlyFans link. I do see you have a millions.co link. Is that also
and Millions,
for the apparel? Okay, so if you want to get any apparel, you want to support her on the journey, you can go ahead down, and we'll put the millions.co as well. She does have an awesome millions.co setup. Her apparel is already there, so you can wear it. You can tell people, I'm with Stephanie Rampage Cline. You know what I'm saying? Have the gear, talk the shit with everybody, shoot it up. But ultimately, we do hope you know the best in your journey. We're gonna be watching. I'm excited to see what comes next for you. And just making sure that we can get the most out of the sport. We definitely want to continue to see you rise. And I know you came to the game late, but man, you did a lot in a very little small amount of time. I don't know if you noticed it, but you tracked pretty amazingly since you started your career.
Yeah. Just being active. That's the biggest thing. Competitive world, just being active.
Yeah, your consistency is showing. I mean, I think maybe you showed up on my radar about 4 years ago, and I was like, oh, who's this? This is interesting. And then I started seeing you compete more often, and then we started seeing videos of you on Flow, and I was like, holy shit, this chick is awesome. This is sick. She's just going for it. I love it. We love to see that energy, Coming from a grappling family, I love to see people just go for it, because it's like, you know what? You got nothing to lose. Might as well have a good time. Yeah. Enjoy this. It's not for forever. But I am happy to hear that you're a lifelong martial artist. You continue to compete and train. And then again, like we said earlier on the show, you can go to her Instagram, TikTok. She's on OF if you want to subscribe and be a little bit more on the personal side. She's also got a millions.co if you want to buy some apparel. And soon she'll be launching the podcast. As soon as she does, we'll definitely be announcing it on our Instagram as well as our YouTube channel. Stephanie, you were one of the most requested people we've ever had come on the pod. I put up a poll, and it seemed like good amount of the fan base here was looking forward to seeing you. I was like, who's next? And they were like, her, I want her. So it's sick to see you put up there with them, and it seems like, you know, the people at home want to hear more from you. Will the podcast? Do you have a name for the pod just yet? Just so they know what to look it up once it does come out.
It's called Tit for Tat.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so it's gonna be centered around martial arts, and then also just like personal lives and dating and OnlyFans and do the jiu-jitsu world, the fight world, MMA, all of the good stuff in life. You know, it'll be fun. And I have some big names already like lined up for interviews. So yeah, it'll be a good time.
I think it's going to be a phenomenal show. I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely be subscribing. Make sure that you at home subscribe. And for this podcast as well, we are close to the 1,000 subscriber mark. So make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Of course, make sure to go to the description so that you can talk to our guest, because our guest is awesome and her pod is probably going to be fucking hilarious. So have a great time watching that as well. Stephanie, anything you want to say to everybody at home before we let you go?
Nope, just thanks for the support.
Good for me. All right, y'all. Thank you for being in the Gotdam room. Danny Minaya, Stephanie Cline, and we thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your curiosity. I'm sorry, this light is really blinding. It's nice though. And again, thank you for your time and curiosity, and keep your peace.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too.